Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdix Dave. Today I am joined by Noor and Luke from the Speechless Bards. How you guys doing today?
Hey, we're doing great.
Yeah.
And you guys are coming in all beaming in all the way from the Netherlands.
Yes, we are.
Sweet. So, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves and kind of like give people an idea of what you do for those that aren't familiar.
I'm Luuk. Hi. One half of the speech part. And what we do is we make all sorts of TTRPG accessories, basically.
Yeah.
Think of stuff like bracelets, modular terrain, although that's on hold at the moment. Noor makes some excellent leather book sleeves for the D&D books, Pathfinder soon as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. So everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah, basically.
Do you guys work with Devin Rowe as well?
Yeah, we do. Last year, I designed a triple collection set for the Dungeons and Dragons Player Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master Guide. So I make leather sleeves that go around the books to protect them and also to make them more fancy. And I asked if Devin was interested in working together, and I managed to work with her maps on the architect design, which goes around to the Dungeon Master Guide.
Oh, that's fantastic. Devin Rue puts out some incredible work.
Oh, it's so great. And I really enjoy engraving that one every time. Those little details come out just so good on the leather.
What is that like? And so you kind of like burn the maps into it by hand?
No, I use a laser engraver, so
Uh,
basically a CO2 laser. And I have different kinds of engraving settings to make sure that I get the right results with different kinds of leather. In case of the maps, I make sure that I do a very narrow engraving on a very flat piece of leather, usually in brown, gray, or white. And then I do a lot of finishing touches by hand, but it would be impossible to do everything by hand and make it a company that actually knows how to sell something to an audience with a smaller budget, because doing something like that by hand is incredibly impressive. There are people who do it, but it would take me hours, if not days.
Also, I feel like there's not a lot of room for mistakes.
No, leather is not very forgivable when it comes to burning it or drilling holes into it. So if I do something wrong, I have to literally throw it away and start over again. Once I do a stitch wrong, even I'm done for. Yeah.
Oh no! What does the cast off pile look like?
Ooh, not very big. We're very patient. Right now we're in a small heat wave, so I make sure that if my brain is overheating, this is not a good time to do something very small and detail work. Just chill out. Make sure you come back when everything's cooled down, because I have to keep my head in. But I think I might lose around 3 to 5% right now, so I'm doing really good.
So people can also like tune in and watch Luke put things together live, right, and ask questions.
Yeah, twice a week we are on Twitch, and I do some stitching, for example, or some assembly of the card's compendium, and they can just join, have a chat, order me to pet the cat, uh, and just hang out.
I
You guys
think
do you guys do
most
a
people are.
cat cam as well, right? During the
Yeah,
live chats. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The cat is the most popular feature on the whole stream, I think.
yep. Cat in a box.
Yeah.
That sounds accurate. I mean, cats just know the internet was made for them anyway.
Yeah, this one is specifically knows how to get the attention. Yeah.
Yep.
How did you guys get started making gaming accessories?
We are both hobby crafters. So everything we've done in our lives, we've also found ways to do something small and find ways to build something. So when we started playing Dungeons and Dragons, it was actually a matter of time before we found something in the game that we wanted to build ourselves or make better. So it started with you with the terrain.
Yeah, I was DMing at the time, and I already had the 3D printing hobby. Found some stuff online that I could print, but wasn't quite happy with it. So I figured, Noah, I'm gonna do it myself. And yeah, I figured out a system with magnets in the tiles on the bottom, so that makes exchanging everything much easier than connecting everything from the side. And then it kind of went horribly wrong after that. Yeah, my group said, you know what, why don't you put it on Etsy, try it out? And then I had the first sale within just a couple of days, I think. And another sale within a couple of days, and then started rolling, and then a couple months later, I did it full time.
Do you also create your own files, or do you use existing ones?
No, everything we make, we design ourselves.
Yeah.
So for the dungeon tiles, what kind of sets do you have?
At the moment, regular dungeon castle kind of, basically just basic stuff. But also inn/tavern terrain, so a lot of woodwork and sewers. All sorts of yucky stuff in there. I also kind of have cavern terrain, but I wasn't quite happy with it, so I was in the middle of revamping it when we started with the Cast Companion. That kind of took over, so the revamp of the caverns is on hold at the moment.
Yeah.
So apparently your D&D group actually kind of pushed you into doing it then, right? You like made it for them, and then they're like, you should sell this.
Yeah, basically.
Positive friends.
Yeah. So with everything that you guys are doing, do you still have time to play D&D?
Yeah, we recently found a chance to start back up again. We haven't played online because none of our friends were very interested in that. But now that the guidelines are getting better and we can invite more friends over, we're starting back again with Waterdeep.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we just had our first like in-person games. It's like everyone's matching up vaccination dates. So we were talking before we got started and went live. And Noor, you also do archery?
Yeah, we both started archery like 6-7 years ago.
No, longer.
Longer.
I think 9 or 10 years.
9-10.
Yep.
And that's one of those things, one of those hobbies where if you're already interested in crafting, you get started building your own stuff very quickly. I started making arm guards and quivers. So that's where I actually started working with leather for the first time. Yeah.
Nice. So I follow a couple like different archers on TikTok because they do like all kinds of like crazy tricks. You guys do crazy tricks? Shoot like bottle caps off of bottles, and
your biggest trick is shooting at all.
Yeah, thanks.
But no, I'm currently also the archery trainer. I'm assistant to the head archer trainer at our group, and I train a lot of youth, and I have to remind them every time it is not allowed to do cool tricks from TikTok or anything else, or when they're running around yelling no scope 360. Calm down, this is an official sport and we're carrying very dangerous weapons. If I ever see you do that again, I will break your bow in half. So no tricks on this field.
Oh no, total buzzkill.
Yeah,
but we do have to have kind of strict guidelines because the archery field is right next to a football field. So if an arrow goes slightly in the wrong direction,
we might have to start carrying licenses just to carry a bow from one end to another, and which we currently don't have in the Netherlands, and we'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. How often do you shoot?
I train twice. I train the others twice a week, and I try to get some arrows in afterwards. So I try to do it twice a week.
And I kind of quit archery. No more time. So the last time I shot a bow was, I think, 1.5 years ago.
Yes, yeah.
Just before the pandemic, I think.
Yeah.
It is time. It is tough with time to pick and choose. And also what you guys are doing for a living is very time intensive.
Yeah, we do this 6 days. I do this 6 days a week, like work days. You pick nights as well, so you do 6 full week days.
Yeah, I definitely work 6 days a week and usually start at about 8:30 in the morning, and usually stop at about.
I yell at 6 that it's dinner time, and then you go back up at 7.
Yeah, and then I continue working till about 9-10 p.m.
Yeah.
You just got Luke just chained to the workbench and like free him for meals.
I try to get him down actually more often. He's the one who is a workaholic and says, no, the deadlines and we have to do everything.
Yeah, it's more efficient if I do this right now.
You also had a burnout a few years ago. Maybe you shouldn't.
No, it's fine. I know my limits now.
I trust him to know his limits.
Yeah, plus the work is wildly different when it's something you love to do. It's basically a paid hobby at the moment.
Yeah.
Back when I had a burnout, it was during my study years. Plus, I had two side jobs at the time, so that was a bit too much at the time. But it's much better.
It's a lot different when you're doing something you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So, are you guys usually players or GMs?
We started. You are an excellent DM when it comes to rules, but you're not very fond of storytelling.
I'm just not very good at it. But to answer your question, we kind of both DM. I started as a DM, and now I'm more a player in her campaign. And
I DM the campaign now, right now.
Yeah, but when I DM, Noor was the player, and now she's the DM.
Yeah, we switch roles a lot.
Yeah.
In one shots with friends as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's super useful and keeps the GMs from burning out.
Yeah. It's nice to actually sit down and play one shot in between when you're DMing constantly and just unwind and let others do the silly stuff and join in on the silly stuff as a player. Yeah.
Do you guys play other RPGs too, or just D&D?
At the moment, mostly D&D. Noor is pointing to
Gloomhaven.
The Gloomhaven box.
Yeah.
It's sort of half TTRPG, I guess. But yeah, mostly D&D. Sometimes Gloomhaven. We do have some of the books of Pathfinder and Lord of the Rings TTRPG, and we haven't played those yet. But I kind of collect those books just to flip through them and get a bit of a feel for the rules.
One day
we get to play them as well.
Right now they just
Wednesday was. Yeah.
Now they just exist on the shelf of shame. It's okay. We all have one. We look at them longingly going, one day you will be played.
Yeah, but at the moment you only have time for just a D&D game. So
yeah, well, it's hard too, and sometimes it's hard to get, depending on the people that you play with, to get them to play something different as well. People get comfortable and used to, whatever they're introduced with.
Yeah.
So, when you guys are gaming, how regular do you game?
Right now we had to set back for once every 2 weeks because our friends have very full weekly plan schedules. Just the fun thing about having our own company, we can actually say, hey, our day off shifts to whenever they have their best day, and then we can work around it because we host the game as well. But we're hoping to go back to at least.
I'm hoping to go back to once a week.
Once a week was a lot of fun, yeah. Especially if you do evening games, which are shorter than a full day. We're hoping to get back to once a week and then 2 to 3 hours, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that me and Ted ended up doing is we game Saturday nights, and we usually game like 3 Saturdays out of the month. But each one is a different game and a different GM. And the groups are kind of different. Just me and Ted are the same players in those, just because our schedules are more flexible. and it's just easier to find people that can commit to once a month. So they're all like monthly games, but we just play more of those.
Is it not difficult to keep the storylines synced up then?
That is one of the drawbacks, is remembering what happened last time, and which game it happened in. I mean, we also like stream a game on the channel that's a weekly game, and then I think Ted is in another stream game on Jake's from Mini Domain Terrain's channel, and then like I have a Saturday morning home game that I play in as well. So I don't know. We just play a lot of games. So, but it's okay. It's part of our job.
It's a good life. Yeah, it's a good life. Oh, I play so many games. I don't remember what character I'm supposed to play right now. Oh, woe is me.
That part is tricky. But the scary thing is there's like a lot of streamers that play even more. So, and I don't know how they do it. So.
No, that's really a real full life schedule that you have to plan around it just to keep everything on track.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it was. I think one of our patrons who played four games of D&D per week.
Yeah. That's way too much.
Yeah.
For me.
Would be nice though.
No.
Well, I guess it depends. Like if you're a player or a GM, it's a lot easier as a player.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Than a GM. But like currently, I guess I got like 3 games a week. And 2 of them are on the same day.
Oh no.
So Saturday mornings and then Saturday evenings.
You have to take a nap in between just to make sure your brain resets for the next one.
Although like the game we stream during the week is short. Like it's only a 2-hour game. So I think that helps too. Plus like so that's online, and for online play, I actually don't like playing more than like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's mostly a good time span, I think, 2 hours, 2 to 3. But when we first played D&D, when I was a DM, my homebrew campaign was once a month.
Yeah.
And then it was really a
noon
D&D
to
day.
7, I think we played.
We ended up usually playing from noon to about 7, but at the start it was usually from 10 to 10.
Seriously? Did we play that long?
Yeah.
Oh my god, how did we do that?
And then when Noor started DMing Waterdeep, then we went to once a week and then to 2.5 hours. And it's a bit more manageable.
I can't really remember playing 10 hours, 10 to 10, like
that
12
sounds
hours.
About right.
Maybe because it's so much, I just traumatized, put it away.
Oh, I remember.
Well, when we were younger, like I guess like in our early 20s, we would get together like 3, 4 in the afternoon, and like people would be leaving when the sun was coming up. And so, but I couldn't do that now. I'm way too old. It's not gonna happen.
So are we.
Yeah.
We are already too old for that kind of stuff. I am not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah, but I do remember the same thing. Used to have a lot of LAN parties with a couple of friends of mine.
Yeah.
And then we started at 6 p.m. and then suddenly it was 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, "Oh, I have to go to work in a half an hour." Then they went to sleep, and then I got off work at 5 p.m. Phoned them. Hey, where are you guys at? Yeah, we just woke up. We're back to playing. All right, on my way.
Oh, you're right. I remember.
We just continued on.
We were already dating back then. I remember.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But that's
when you're young, it's easy. I mean, now it's more difficult. So Saturday we got together. I think we got together like everyone was there just after 5, and we all left around midnight. But like we didn't start gaming until probably like 7, and then we were done by like 10:30. But like it's the first time everyone's been together for this group in person.
Yeah.
Some of the people we had never even met before in person. So, and so it's like, we had dinner and hung out, and it was just a good time.
yeah, that's
especially after the past year and a half. So it's just like,
yeah.
We are session 0. I also said, hey, our two friends haven't seen each other in a very long time. We haven't seen one of them in quite a while. So I'm just in case I'm going to plan a few extra hours just to catch up, because session 0 is not going to be all about D&D. It's mostly going to be, hey, how are you? Yeah. After all that time.
And especially getting back into social mode.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, at least especially for me.
I've seen friends in I've been outdoors. I've been to my parents. You have been here.
Yep.
Chained to your desk.
Yep.
Working on custom
stitching away. What is your favorite piece to work on for either of you?
Good question. It kind of differs. Most days I just enjoy working on the Castle Companion, but sometimes I really feel like, I really want to do some terrain painting at the moment, but I just don't have the time. Or at the moment, I'm starting a new hobby to make dice. I can't wait until tomorrow when we have our day off. Then I get to work on that new hobby. But yeah, it's all fun, basically.
I really enjoy painting. I really enjoy when I get a custom commission for a notebook or a book sleeve or something special that needs to be painted. So I really have to flatten out the leather, set up my my workbench so I can work upright, and really taking the time to do all the base layers and then the hues of gold and then the really small little bits of smoke that need to come up. Yeah, it's just very peaceful, sitting with music in my ears and nobody to disturb me, just taking my time, making that piece unique. Oh, I really love that. Yeah, no, that's really a lot of fun to do.
And I know we talked about this before we got started, but how long have you guys been going at this full time?
We started doing this full time in late 2018, but we worked separately at that moment, at the time, and we combined into the Speeches Bard last July.
Yeah.
And then, it kind of was around that time that everything really picked up as well.
Yeah, went from weekend jobs to, what did you say, 2018? Then we both quit our work and continued on separate web shops to see what will work. And then when both really seemed to last, hey, why not combine? Because we kind of step into each other's workshop every now and then to help out, and it would make everything much easier to do. Why not do it under one name?
Yeah, just one web shop, one social media account, just help each other out when needed.
And that's coming up 1 year in August.
July.
July?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, we did. Oh wow, that's really close.
Are either of you competitive?
Competitive to each other?
Yeah.
I kind of am. If it comes to work, yeah, I really want people to wow about the work. And if I feel that they wow about my work, like lettercraft that I made in my workshop, and you have your terrain, and they like my work more, it's not bad.
No,
I'm also very proud when they love your work, but I'm like, yeah, I made that.
I was ready to say, oh no, not at all.
No, I
but then this started.
No. And that's a good thing. We now have a product that is completely 50-50.
Yeah.
Like they really love the way you designed it and all the magnets and how they work, but they can also be very happy about how it looks, and that's my business part of the whole shop.
Yeah, that's a bit what I used to say on Twitch streams as well. Whenever it looks good, it's her work.
It is my whole job.
Yeah.
So Brian Smith said he just checked out the IG and was wowed.
Oh, oh, thank you.
Yeah, and always, folks, before I forget to mention it, in the description, you can find links to check out the Speechless Bards and see all the awesome works that they do. Me and my wife can be kind of competitive as well. That's one of the reasons it took her a very long time to get into playing RPGs and D&D, because she wasn't really getting the fact that it's like a cooperative game where we tell stories together. I think in her mind, and also like she's been like nerd adjacent all of her life between her brother and me, and would like listen to us tell stories. And when we first started playing back in the 90s, late 90s together, and she was around, like GMs tended to be a little bit more uh, antagonistic towards the players, and it was definitely a different feel to the game than there is now. So I think it took her a lot longer to get into it, because she's only started playing within the last couple of years. And even still, like, she would like conspire with my kids and they wouldn't want me to know what they're talking about.
No, luckily, if we're talking game-wise, we're very much in sync.
Yeah, although you don't really like playing a strategic game against.
No. If I were talking about RPGs, if we're talking about like things like D&D or Gloomhaven, where it's just the two of us, we really enjoy telling the story together. And we play games where we both understand we have the same way of playing it. But when it comes to things like strategic games, because let's say I'm the artistic type. Yeah, so what you just said, I'm the artistic type here who just has that mind about how things are going to play out and it's fun. And yes, and you are a robot.
Well, I mean, artistic, unless we're talking about killing things with arrows, then
Yeah. No, it's luckily there's no competition. And I also really enjoy when you tell a story as a GM and I get to do something to make that story better, not to be competitive, but just because, oh, he's telling such a good story, I hope I can participate. I really do love that. Aww.
I mean, I think that's why we play. Like in the better groups, that's the idea, is we as GMs get to help facilitate the stories that the players want to tell.
Yeah. GMs need to have as much fun as everybody else.
Yeah, and for me that took a while to grasp that notion, because when we first played D&D with our group, everyone was new to it, and I just figured, you know what, I'm good with rules and stuff. I'll just be a DM. And for the first several months, I was continuously worried whether or not I was a good DM, if I did everything right, if I'm telling everything correctly, and if I'm making it fun. And at some point, I just realized, you know what, everyone at the table is having fun. Sure, I made mistakes, but everyone is having fun.
Nobody's complaining.
That's the entire goal of it. If everyone at the table is having fun, you're doing a great job.
That is the most important thing, right? That's what we're here for.
That took me a while, to be honest.
I think most DMs have that a long period transition time when they're first DMing to, oh, you know what? I'm actually really cool with how things are working out. And if nobody's complaining, then everybody's having fun, then I'm doing a good job. Yeah. There's nerve in the beginning, I think.
Yeah, for some of us, it never goes away.
No, the jitters are always there.
Yeah, so. But you know what? Like, starting with the rules and mastering the rules, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's something for some people, like, that's what you grasp and understand. It's just finding that part of the game that you understand. Like, if I'm playing a new game that I'm not familiar with the rules, like, I'll lean on the narrative side of it and worry less about the rules and, like, figure that stuff out as we go along.
Yeah.
But Noor, you brought up a good point. Like, the GM is one of the players too, and needs to have fun. So, Brian Smith, do you use any of your books as game props? Like, hey, here's a spell book, and hand over an actual leather-bound book.
I have used them as cosplay items, and I have seen other cosplayers buy them as cosplay items. Yeah, and I've also been asked to build specific notebooks for games or photography, or people really want to publish it as the DM pulling out a spell book and saying, okay, you find this under the bed, and then actually having a book with a leather-bound cover that says the name of their villain or whatever character they've designed. So I started building them actually for my own character to make her name on the cover. So it's the moment I pull it out of my bag, it's part my notes, but it's also part her notes. So it really puts me into the game very quickly. So that's the most fun thing about doing commission work. We always ask, what title do you want on a notebook? So it feels like you're using the notebook from your character. So yeah, a lot of those props from books have specific needs in game that are tied in with the story.
What Luuk, what is your favorite type of terrain to make?
My favorite type of terrain to make. That's a difficult one. I think I like the look of the inn the best, but it's also a giant pain to assemble mostly, because it's a mix of the regular FDM printing and resin printing. So there's a lot of supports you need to remove and clean up, and then you need to prime everything and then paint, and then
the little bits of wood clicking onto the other bits of wood.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. But the one I like to paint the most, I think, is the sewer terrain. Just to first get a I kind of use paint as a way to add texture as well for that type of terrain. So that's a lot of fun. And then you first do a couple layers of base paint to kind of set the base. Then you can add all sorts of details, like a bit of filth on the wall, a bit of moss,
coarse texture.
Yeah, to make everything look all sorts of dirty.
What I think in America they know it as popcorn wall. You remember when you have like this wall paint that has bumps in it? They call it popcorn ceiling or popcorn paint texture, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now I know the term for it.
That is the ceiling that my grandparents would always get done.
yeah, my grandparents too. Yeah, that's one of the most stupidest things of, I think, the 70s, that all of a sudden everybody wanted popcorn walls in the Netherlands.
Glad I missed that part.
I think it's died out though.
Yeah.
So things need to go away. So what are the scrolls you guys make?
Oh, the scrolls are, they came in as a request from somebody who asked me to craft a scroll, which is the fun thing about doing commission work. People come with new ideas and they tend to tell you what they need on their table before I even start designing them. And he told me that he had some very heavy dice, and that most dice trays with either a single layer of felt, wool felt, or leather was not enough to keep the dice safe, because they had needed a little extra bounce. And I don't do well with wood crafting, so we figured out how to make a scroll that was both engraved on the inside, which back then was only the conjurer design, so a spell book that I drew by hand, and on the outside a magic circle design on a different color leather, and then a small bag in the end to keep your dice, and you could roll it up, clasp it tight with a snap, and you'd have a scroll that you could carry in your bag with your dice in it and roll it out. And the best thing about it is that it's 2 layers of leather with a thick middle layer, which gives it extra little bounce to the dice. So sharp edge dice and the more expensive dice or heavy metal dice don't dent the table, but they're also more protected from getting damaged when rolling.
Yeah, especially the gemstone dice.
Gemstone dice and those two precious stone dice are a lot of fun to craft something to make sure that the players know that their stuff is protected. Same thing with my dice trays, which have a little edge to it, and snaps to keep the borders upright. I built a 3rd layer in there, which is a secret material, not very, but still. So it has 3 layers of leather, 2 layers of leather and a middle layer, which is a very...
And the secret layer?
Yeah, the secret layer is it's a rigid material, but you can also still push into it softly, and it will always bounce back into the same space, same height, and you can use that to make super dense material to keep the bounce in the dice, but make sure that especially sharp edges have zero issue rolling.
Yeah, I do have some gemstones dice that I worry about.
Yeah, me too. You gave me those beautiful labradorite dice on my birthday, and you have those tiger eye that you got on Spiel 2 years ago, and I immediately wanted to figure out how to keep those safe. So we did a lot of testing with your dice back then and slow motion filming to see how well they roll or not. Yeah.
So you actually slow motion filmed them to see how they roll?
Close-up rolls with one end of the dice tray open, flat, so we could film inside the dice tray and see how well they bounced and how far they would go and how much damage was absorbed.
So we do our own R&D as well.
Yes.
Nice. Are those videos up on your website anywhere?
I put them, this has been over a year ago, so I must have put them somewhere on Instagram or Twitter, but you know what? I really have to bring those back because that was very, very good resource that we had, very good research material. I still have that video. I'll upload it later today.
That's great. That's a very fine level of detail. So what is probably the most popular item that people tend to pick up?
Bracelets.
Yeah,
100% the bracelets. The leather bracelets that we create, we have just general ones with a brown layer outside, a D20 engraved, and 6 of the other dice cut out, and then a colored liner on the inside, also leather. And those are super simple. You can wear them at any time. You can give them to anybody. So a lot of people pick them up as gifts. They ask for specific colors. I do variations on them. I have rainbow versions that were requested and all sorts of pride flags, which is very fun. People were asking me, do you have a demi flag? I really want to represent my flag. Sure, we'll make it. Yeah. But the Halloween version that we did last year, we've done spring versions. We've done special versions for the goth and the emo collection.
And, the galaxy one.
The galaxy versions, yeah. And those are so simple to collect that a lot of people really have specific colors that they wear for specific occasions.
Nice. They look gorgeous. I really like the galaxy bracelet.
Oh, thank you. That's also a lot of fun to paint, and I really try to keep bringing those back in batches. But there are a lot of work to paint in the right right color group. So the purple and the blue, and then the small silver stars need to go on there. Take a lot of time, and I also need the exact right kind of leather that cuts well and engraves well and is the right thickness to make the good bend around the wrist. So it's a little bit more work than I was hoping to make it do, but
yeah, that's why we do them in
batches.
So we don't offer them as a standard item, but rather we kind of pick a moment in the year, then we have time. Yeah, when we have time.
Yeah, right now that's
so not that often. And then we just whichever size of leather you were able to find, and we say like we can craft about 80 of them from this piece of leather, and then
it's also a thing that not a lot of people understand that or have read that. We try to make sure that everybody knows our leather comes secondhand. So my retailer shops from very large companies that make leather bags or shoes or couches or whatever, and whatever collection they have left that they kick out of their collection, and they have leather left from that. Specific colors or heights that they no longer want to use come to his shop. So there are bits missing from it. Maybe it's a quarter height or smaller. They come in all sorts of colors. So I can't order more from a specific height when I need it. So it's not like, oh, you want black? Yeah, sure. Let me phone somebody. Hey, send me half a height in black and I'll get started. I really need to find that leather and make sure I have enough of it to do a certain collection. So it's a monthly shopping trip to make sure I have the base colors in stock. And whenever I do find that perfect grass green leather that's impossible to find, I try to grab as much as I can and bring it back. And you can see damage on it, or people writing with markers on the inside, because those big companies really don't care. So it's fun for us also to know that we do resource our leather. It's also made only from animals that are bred for slaughter for their meat. So it's also a secondary material from the animal.
Yes, sort of a side product.
Yeah. So we really do our best to make sustainable materials work twice as hard for what they've done. Yeah.
But also involves that sometimes you just go to the
supplier.
Yeah, to the supplier and upstairs to the.
Oh, the special collection, the goat hides.
Yeah. Sometimes you just find a really crazy color or effect on the leather, and then you can do something. Yeah. Very limited edition, something crazy.
And then you roll it out, and you see this big tape mark in the middle of it. You go, no. This is such a good color, but I have to cut around the center because somebody just put their coffee on it in the big factory. Didn't care.
No. Yeah. Like I didn't know it, but I think like they would just trash the hides from meat, right? They wouldn't like use them. Because I feel like one of the other guests I've had on previously that makes leather bags and stuff. I think they do something similar.
Oh, great. Yeah. There is way more leather to find that comes from the meat industry. There are also special hides that indeed only come from animals that have been bred for it. And we just, as long as we can, we try to stay away from that. Yeah. Just because it makes us feel better about what we're doing. We hear a lot of people asking for vegan leather, which is either PVC, which I cannot work with, and it's also plastic. So we feel like that's not the better option. It's actually worse for the environment. But
especially when you burn it.
Yeah, and you also have new sorts of leather that are made from, for example, mushroom leather. Who knew?
You can make leather from mushrooms.
Yeah, you actually can, and you can make, because the fibers from the molds you can use to make leather out of it.
That sounds like drought propaganda to me.
Hey, I'm not saying there is something involved here. Some magic has to be involved for sure. But it's happening. So if we ever get the chance to work with real vegan leather, we'll try it.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit too expensive, but it's in the making.
They just can't grow the mushrooms big enough yet.
Yeah, I'm worried if they do that, the insects that live in the mushrooms also grow bigger.
Oh, yeah. That's how you get ant kegs. Do you want ant kegs?
This is how you get them, yeah.
We have pet chinchillas, and like they are so soft. I have always like petting them. I'm like, I see why people make clothing out of you.
They have this really dense, soft, super soft fur. They're so cute.
Yeah, but
well, the cat really isn't. No.
Yeah.
No.
Our cats and our chinchillas fight with each other. More verbal than anything.
Yeah, I'm curious which one wins. Because chinchillas can be.
The chinchillas can and will chew through anything that's not made of glass or metal. And they don't really take any guff, and they're also kind of jerks. So like we have two brothers, and we used to have ramps between the different levels, but they ate them all. But before they ate them all, one would be like going up and down the ramp, and the other one would be at the other end of the ramp trying to flip them off of the ramp. They're trying to turn it over because they got like these little, their paws are like little hands.
They sound like your friends.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have a lot of friends who are like that as well. Yeah, like the levels used to be plastic, but they chewed holes in them, and then they had like escape hatches. But eventually they just chewed them too much, and we had to replace them with like metal instead because they just destroy everything. And like you'll clean their cage and you'll have everything all set up and nice. And then you go to bed and you get up the next day and it looks like they had a frat party in there. Like everything is flipped and knocked over. and they're just sleeping.
No,
So,
I'm glad we just have cats that sleep.
Yeah, except when we are sleeping.
Then they're just racing around the living room. I don't mind that.
yeah, I mean, we have one cat that's younger, and I'll be sitting down here, and it's like, is one of my kids running back and forth? And it's like the cat. Like,
Yeah.
it can be as quiet as it wants to be when it wants, but the other time, it just makes so much noise, like running around. It's like, it sounds like it's wearing like boots, work boots.
Steel-toed boots to run around the house.
Yeah. Except for when he's stalking you.
Yes, then all of a sudden they're ninjas.
Yeah, then they're ninjas.
And then they're complaining when you step on them because you didn't hear them coming.
This cat is a little special. Like, I'd be walking down the hallway and all of a sudden you feel something soft hit me in like the back of my knees, because he would just like run and dive at me. I don't, and like he's got like he like jumps and climbs on everything and has no sense of self-preservation. So I'm just like, there's something wrong with you. Also, this is the cat that likes to play with our dog, and like as a kitten, so like the dog and the cat would wrestle. So the dog's like 50 pounds, the cat's like 3 pounds, and you would look over and the cat's like either in the dog's mouth or hanging off its face, and like its claws are like attached into her jowls. I'm like, doesn't that hurt? And you're like, what are you guys doing? And they both will look at you like, what?
We're just playing.
Nothing.
Just roughhousing a little bit.
They do a lot of that. Well, and it's funny because every once in a while the cat would attach stuff to the side of the dog where it couldn't really get to, and would like bite her armpit. And I think it was like a tickler spot for her. But yeah, that cat was always drenched in dog spit.
Oh no, that's horrible.
And you're like worried about the cat, and you go over and he's like purring away.
Especially for a cat that's cleaning itself 80% of his awake time.
Yeah. Well, it's so weird. Like, our cats they only want to drink out of the dog's water bowl.
Oh yeah.
They don't drink out of their own, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's a familiar problem. We have a water bowl for the cats, but they just prefer the shower thing.
Yeah. Oh, there's water left on the shower walls. Great.
They're in there licking the shower walls. Yeah.
Are you mopping the floor? Excellent. I was thirsty. Just go away.
Yeah. Animals are weird. But yeah, the cats want to drink out of anything but their water bowl. Our cups, the dog's water bowl, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There's a market for you. D&D pet products.
We've had requests for, I think people have been asking for as long as we've been making bracelets, which is over a year now.
Collars?
To make collars. Yeah. I started making them last year summer. And I think I used my sister's dachshund to work to model it, just for a chance to look at it. The thing is, I need different kind of material to make it sturdier, because dogs, you've seen what the cat can do to the dog's neck. If there's a leather strap around it, what will that do? Plus you need like a safety clips to make sure that when, for example, a cat gets stuck somewhere, it will step loose so they don't hang themselves. So you need special materials for that. I am working on it. When the moment we find out how to make 8 days in a week instead of 7, I will figure out to build those. Yeah.
Nice. Any requests for people collars yet?
Yes, also. Please make your bracelets longer. And I don't mind the snap. Just keep the snap in there. I want a choker. we just need to find time to do it.
Yeah, chokers and belts as well.
Belts. Yeah, I have so many bracelets. I can't wear them anymore. Please make a belt. Oh gosh.
Yeah. I can only imagine. So Brian wants to know, what materials and items would you use craft if you were in a fantasy world?
if I was in the fantasy world, I think I would continue to be a leather crafter, but I would really love to become a smithy as well, because there's a lot of fancy stuff you can combine with metal and leather.
I think Brian wants to know what kind of leather would you use, though?
Oh, what kind of leather would I use? Oh, that's a great question. Dragonhide, for sure. Absolutely dragonhide, because who knows how, like, not the big ones with the scales. No, find the young ones that you can snap the neck with your own hands and then just skin those before the scales become too thick. And then you can use that to make, for example, oven gloves. You can make a pizza oven in D&D world, and you can just grab the pizza with your hands instead of doing iffy stuff with the battle. Is that a weird answer?
You went right to snapping baby dragon necks for their hide.
Like, or maybe a smaller one, just before the scales become too big and too tough to work with. Like, so when they still have a nice, supple, shiny hide.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is it was how casually you said that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a sentient creature. That's okay.
Disney, please cast me as Cruella de Vil in the second movie.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm thinking what kind of other animals there are, because like things like
I love belays.
that would work. Yeah.
We've used them in our campaigns. We had like this one culture of dwarves. They're like the rite of passage to adulthood was they go out in these hunting parties to hunt belays and to bring one back, and then from it they would harvest the plates and make a metal called shark steel.
That sounds cool.
And yeah, so it kind of looked like, you know, like when you like when water gets like that opalescent look from like oil or something in it. So it was like that, but more with like electric, like blue type colors.
Oh, that's so cool. That oily color is so difficult to emulate with paints. It's such that iridescent shine. Yeah. It's so awesome. I'm also not thinking what a griffin has part lion and part bird, right?
Yeah. Eagle and
so
lion.
where does the lion part, which is like a leather, stop? And where does it become a bird skin, which is feathers, and you cannot use as leather? So is there a kind of like middle path where
you can use bird skin, because underneath the feathers there's skin.
I have never in my life seen bird leather. I've seen fish leather.
Which is very small.
Fish leather? What is fish leather?
Yeah, actually, that's the thing. It's very expensive and it's very, very thin. I've never used it. I've only seen it. But it's usually made from fish with thicker hides. And I think it's used for fancy shoes. I think I've seen it.
The question is it waterproof?
No, it's no longer waterproof.
What's the point?
And there are no scales on it. It's literally the skin underneath the scales. It's so weird.
I feel like they took away all the reasons why I would want fish leather.
Yeah, all the good reasons to have fish leather are gone. It's difficult to work with. It's expensive. It's super thin, and there are no scales,
and it's not waterproof.
You can just get smelly shoes. That's what you get.
Yeah. All right.
Will you guys ever branch out to more exotic materials?
For you, exotic is a difficult one.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean with exotic, I guess.
I guess they make stuff out of snake skin and crocodile and.
I'm not really sure if that's sustainable. Because that's the main thing about how we pick our leather as well.
Yeah. Well, there are farms where things like crocodile and stuff are getting more like on the menu, not in the supermarket, but they get on the menu of fancy restaurants. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine that there are also farms where you can get crocodile leather that has been grown and raised to actually become a meat product, so it's a secondary, a byproduct. Mm-hmm. But there have been requests for things with fur, And we can find a good rabbit fur that has been raised for its meat, because rabbit is far more freely available in supermarkets for the meat products. So yeah, there are some really cool, fancy, shiny products, and goat hides in shiny colors that we really love using. But we sometimes need to find the right buyer for something like that, because then that can get shiny expensive. But we are thinking about making a gold caster companion.
Right, yeah.
So one of our caster companion spell books, we're hoping to make one because we wanted to do something ridiculous for the conventions, just to put all on a spinning table and make it super shiny. So we're gonna get gold leather. We have gold filament for the books. We're gonna do gold pages.
Yeah.
Can we get gold magnets?
Maybe.
I'm just spitballing.
But I might be able to get those, but I think they would prevent legibility.
All right, so
More of a practical standpoint.
Gold's not magnetic.
No, gold's not magnetic, but you can get sort of plated magnets, not with gold, but with a color similar to gold.
Messing.
Messing.
All right, yeah. So something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Exotic.
I mean, you could use like faux fur and stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have used those, yeah.
So nothing wrong with that, especially, if you're conscientious about what you're using and where it's coming from.
Yeah, those are very good options with cotton usually made. We do try to figure out if people are going to use them outdoors or not, because fur has that quality that the water drips off it, and fake fur or faux fur does not. It's the worst to use outside on a collar for a LARPing event.
Real fur has been engineered just for that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Easier to clean as well, I think.
Yeah. So, all the good qualities from outdoor use goes into real fur. But then again, we do have some great options for sustainable fur that we can find for luckily.
Yeah, I wonder what other animals you can find that are being used for food that they're kind of just wasting the skins. Like, I know I've had rattlesnake at a restaurant before.
Kangaroo?
I don't even feel bad about kangaroos. The more I learn about them, the more I realize they're like evil incarnate.
Yeah, they're angry, hoppy gorillas that just punch the lights out. Yeah, whenever they get scared.
I was in one of the games. I'm playing an artificer. Their iron defender is a kangaroo, and so I was like something came up during the game, and we're like, "Can kangaroos swim?" So I started typing in, "Can kangaroos?" And then, do you know what came up before swim? It was like, do kangaroos drown people? Like, autofill. I'm like, what? And then I was like, looked it up, and it's and I talked to someone who's from Australia. He's like, yeah, when you're a kid, that's one of the things you learn. If there's a kangaroo in the water, don't go in the water because they want to drown you.
I've heard about that pretty recently. Yeah, I was like, what?
They're really good swimmers.
Which kangaroo?
They're really good swimmers, and they lure other animals into the water or other things into the water to drown them.
But they don't eat them, so they're just sadistic?
Yes, they're evil incarnate.
That's so mean. Oh, the Canadians tell you watch out for the moose because it's a tank and it doesn't realize it. But on the other side of the planet, they tell you, everything here tries to kill you or just by accident or not.
I think that's the main thing. They just know everything that lives there tries to kill you. So just assume that kangaroos do as well.
Oh, so the same reason why they sent people to Australia, actually the same thing with animals. They were all prisoners.
They were the bad animals.
Prison island. Yeah, so they just put all the human killers on there, and then put the killer animals on there as well. Yeah.
I mean, Australia is a good campaign setting for D&D.
If you hate your players.
Yeah. Just put a horrible Australian accent all the time and introduce them to the wonderful, wonderful world of Australian animals and plants that are trying to kill you.
Yep.
And we're not even talking about the desert.
My wife is always asking me, when she sees some kind of animal or another, if we can have that for a pet. I'm like, well, let's ask Google. And then, pretty much the answer is always no. Although apparently bats make good pets, but you shorten their lifespan. So, not good. Yeah.
I remember now, I have seen bat leather, but it's not freely available in the Netherlands because we do not have bats, but it is a thing.
And also very small, I guess.
Have you ever seen a flying dog?
Yeah, those are pretty big.
Like,
they got those bats in the Philippines. They're as big as a person.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
They're
Yeah.
like 5 foot tall. They're very scary looking, but I think they eat fruit.
Oh, they're fruit bats. They're so cute. They're like nibbly on fruit.
Sky puppies.
Yes. Yeah. Real puppies.
Yeah. So unfortunately we won't be getting any bats anytime soon because they now wish to shorten their lifespan. Just stick to real puppies. I mean, maybe you guys can cook me up some leather wings to put on my puppy.
Those, I have seen some insane on the conventions creations with not leather but fabric wings to put on dogs and harnesses, and this is the cutest thing. It's so
turn them
adorable.
into dragons. Absolutely.
Yeah. We have some really great rent fairs in the Netherlands where people will bring their dog on the field, and they're always dressed as either kobolds or dragons or strange little munchkins. Anything but a dog.
Do you hit up rent fairs for boothing, I guess?
Yeah, we go to the Elfia Fair in the Netherlands twice a year in April and September, which is around 2 different castles on each convention site in the Netherlands. No, we're from Europe, where the history comes from, and the castles are, so it's easier. And we're trying to go back to Castle Fest, which is around a different castle, and all sorts of beautiful convention sites where it's just nature and parks, and then little booths winding down the road, and it's the perfect way to spend our weekend.
Yeah, good music, good food,
great people,
a
lot of Germans. Just trying to find something.
Great Ren Fair atmosphere.
Yeah,
it's always a lot of fun.
Sounds like a good time. We are just past the hour mark. Final thoughts before we head on out?
I'm having a great time. That's my thought.
Yeah, not really. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. Speechless Bard. You can check out the website and the social medias in the description. All handmade and lovingly crafted accessories for gaming. Go check it out. And until next time, stay nerdy.